Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being patient. One of the many hats I wear on this conference as well as president is audio technician, video technician, PowerPoint technician. Ramu is our excellent webmaster and just done a great job live streaming and things like that. We had a bitrate issue this morning, so I apologize to the YouTube viewers about that, but we're learning as we go. First time live streaming, and we were able to resolve the issue. Hopefully you're hearing this and seeing it and it looks good as it can for 0.87 MIP upload. So on a mountain, there's not a whole lot of things you can do about internet speed. Nonetheless, that was an excellent presentation. It's also I'm just really grateful to the alumni committee, many of which you've heard from so far today. We have another one here presenting now, Jeremy Boyer, who is on both committees actually, as I mentioned before. Extremely helpful, very inspired by this message. Jeremy was in the Civil Engineering Squadron of the U.S. Army, is that right? Air Force, sorry. Had my notes wrong. He's carpenter, welder, sheet metal fabricator, locksmith. He is currently in home building and remodeling. In 2012, he earned a degree in behavioral science. 2014, he began the intensive study on electromagnetic frequencies, whereupon he discovered the works of Dr. Walter and Leo Russell. He then created the International Age of Character Club Facebook page, which is active today and has become the official International Character Club page for the University of Science and Philosophy. They also do issue charters, so anyone out there in virtual world would like a charter issued so you can form study groups to study the home study course together, please reach out. He runs a lot of group interactions within the USP student body. 2015, he was appointed Secretary of the USP Science and Research Committee and Secretary of the USP Alumni Committee, upon which he serves a splendid job doing. So it's my honor to welcome Jeremy Boyer.
Thank you.
He's the head chef, too.
I want to thank the USP for letting me have the opportunity to speak to you today. I'm very, very excited on this time right now that we were together, be able to share with each other our experiences in our life and our time together, because we've all traveled from many places, from overseas to California to all over the world to be here today, and it's a blessing and honor to be able to speak to you. Today, I'm going to be speaking on the Universal One. The Universal One was written by Walter Russell in 1927. It was published. After a 39-day illumination, this was his first distillation of the science. Over 40 plus years, he refined his science and his explanation of the science of the universe. And through this, we are here today, and as he was saying, I went to school for psychology and history, and as this title of this homecoming today is A New Beginning, I wanted to start because my passion is history, especially ancient history, and the Universal One has been such a blessing to me and such a great tool and spiritual guide for myself. This is Walter and Leo Russell. We all know who they are. They've touched my life and touched y'all's life more than we could ever imagine. Illumination, this is that Walter had for 39 days. He received illuminations from an early age, from 7 He said every 7 years he received a major illumination that gradually grew every 7 years. But every year on his birthday month, he would get another small minor illuminations. And this is how I came to the Russells. When I was turning 33, on my birthday month, on May the 1st, I had a minor illumination. A phrase and an image was shown to me, and it was something out of the unknown to me. I didn't know that you could get information in a flash like that, you know, and I had no knowledge of. I had no knowledge of science. So I went to school, but it was in you know, psychology. It wasn't in physical science. So I took a geology class, so all I knew was about rocks. So that's about my knowledge in science was, and in history. So it was such a blessing. I had my illumination on how electricity tied in with inertia, and through that study, the next month was just intense. I kept getting synchronicities day from day, how everything tied into what was shown to me. And through this, I had people out of the woodwork I haven't talked for years, like 10 years, you know, 5 years. They just email me or send me a message, and it was crazy. I didn't know what was going on. I mean, my wife was just like, I was telling her all this. She thought I was crazy, and I didn't know what was going on because I was raised in church, and I thought I knew God. And you know, the more I study this material, you know, I realized I didn't know God, and because I was, you know, worshiping a anthropomorphic, you know, a physical person. And through that illumination, I kept studying and you know, reading as much as I can. And through that, I came upon the Russells. One of my illuminations that before I came upon the Russells, I was driving, and I was sitting in my car, and I was driving, and I was seeing the guardrails. I was, you know, on the highways, and they go zooming back and forth, and it made me think of the movie Star Trek when they're in space and the stars are just going like that, go behind them, and I was like, light doesn't travel, and I was like, that's a crazy. I mean, that's a concept that's not normal, and I was just like, you know, I just kept getting all this stuff, and I was just like, I don't understand, and I still haven't heard of Walter, and through that, and through that illumination, you know, I kept getting small illuminations and stuff like that. And then when I came upon Walter, that was one of the things that made him very famous and infamous, was that light didn't travel. And it was it made me like, I started studying him like really in depthly because of that. And through that, I learned about his illumination and his 30, because he wrote, you know, pretty specifically on his illumination, on his severance. And one of my experiences was a severance myself, and how days after I felt just disconnected, like it was just 6 inches from me. I was out, you know, it was just weird for days. I didn't feel normal, and I didn't understand why. And when Walter started talking about it, and you know, in his writings, it was just like, this is what. This is it. There's something about this light thing, and then the severance, and through that I just been studying like crazy, and then I started having talks online through Google Plus and Skype. I started having interactions online and meeting with people, talking about the illuminations and the science, and especially the Russell groups. And through those groups, I met Kim, I met Jacqueline and Jim. And what was crazy is my first interaction, Matt showed up on it, Mr. Presti. And it was just like meeting a superstar because you know, I was been studying for a couple months, and you know, I was watching his videos and everything, and it was just like, I was like, wow. I was like, you know, such an honor. And you know, I talked to him, and I called. And he got my number, and he called me the next day, and I was all excited. I was at work, and I was doing tiling work. I was tiling the bathroom, and he called me, and I was like, boss, I gotta go. So he's on the phone for like an hour, and I was like, I ain't gonna be able to work the rest of the day. Because, you know, I didn't know it was, you know, I was excited, and it was just a crazy day. And Matt started talking to me, and I was asking him, you know, what should I do? What should I read? Because I just been reading his stuff online, you know, listening to audios. And that's where I was listening to a lot of audios, and Kim does a lot of audio on Leo's work, Kim Benson, the one that just spoke. And it was such a blessing just to meet her too, because I was, you know, listening to her and her soft voice and relaxing, and I started reading Atomic Suicide because Matt introduced me to it, and I started reading it, and you know, having no knowledge of science, you know, this was within a month or two. And so you know, you can't really learn that much in a month. And, well, I guess you can, but not me. But it was very challenging at first, and it was overwhelming because I was like, is this what I'm supposed to learn? This science? And and then I was like, I need to start from the beginning because I'm a big ancient history buff. You know, I want to see where it started from. I always wanted to dig deeper from where the roots were, on how it started, and that's when I came upon the Universal One. I bought the Universal One, and from there, I started getting. It just felt really natural. I started reading, and just everything started flowing, and just making sense before it didn't, and it felt really like home. I mean, it felt like I've read this book many, many times. I was reading it, and I was like, I swore I read that before, but you know, I know I haven't. So I was like, it's pretty amazing. Speaking of home, one day I was reading, and I had something come to me. It was an image. It was like an image and a clarity of a subject that I have been studying, and I couldn't comprehend it. And in just one moment, just this big flash of understanding came to me. And through that, growing up, as I said, it was like home. I grew up with three brothers, so we were all into sports, playing, you know, baseball, football, everything that we could. We were really, really competitive with each other to an extreme, and that's what was revealed to me in explaining the states of motion. This is a visual. I want everybody to close their eyes, and I'm gonna do a little visual with y'all. Okay, just imagine you're at the baseball field. You're a player on the team. You're on the outfield. You're throwing the ball around pregame with each other. Okay, and after they blow the whistle or whatever they do at the game to start the game, National Anthem is sung, and you're the batter. They bring you up. You're the leadoff batter. You walk up to the base. You do your daily ritual as those baseball players. They kick the base. They use the bat to hit the home base. They clean their cleats. Whatever you decide to do, you swing, practice swing. But then when you get up to the base, you dig your feet into the ground. You're preparing to hit the ball. So you put the bat in the position that you prefer to put it at. You look at the pitcher, and you notice you and him breathe in deeply at the same time. You breathe in and you breathe out. And you see him wind up. He throws the ball to you. But you decide not to swing the bat. Okay? I want you to open your eyes. What kind of pitch did he throw you? Okay, what type of ball? He threw you a curveball, okay. See, the pitcher is like life, the world. It doesn't matter what type of pitch he throws you, it's how you react to it. If he throws you a bad pitch, you let it go. You do not swing at it. You do not reflect it, as Walter talks about mirror imaging. You know, as you do not reflect it back. If you reflect it back, you'll strike, and you know you'll get out. And these are the decisions you make. Sometimes, you know, life will give you good pitches and bad pitches, especially bad pitches that will hit you and knock you down. But it's also, you know, do you charge the mound after getting hit by the pitch, or do you take base? It's on how you react to it. And this is what the giving and re-giving is about. You know, the pitcher is trying to strike you out, but he is giving you his best. And the world is giving its best to you, just like the Lord is giving you everything that you need. It's all dependent on what you do to manifest in this reality. And this is Jeff Bagwell, who was my favorite batter growing up. Also, there's an analogy in baseball, or not analogy, but a term called RBI, runs batted in. It means a statistic in baseball that credits a batter for making a play that allows a run to be scored. In Russellian science, it's rhythmic balance interchange. And, excuse me? Rhythmic balance interchange, to be manifested in reality, would be an ability to bring yourself and others to equilibrium. And equilibrium is home base or whatever, and that's what the RBI is. You're bringing someone home. And you can extend yourself, just like Kim said about Jesus, he extended himself to bring balance to everyone else. And that's what we are supposed to do to each other and to ourselves, to bring ourselves to equilibrium. And the higher your RBI in baseball means that, you know, the better the player you are. And the higher RBI in Russellian is the more knowing you have, and the better you'll be able to react to those situations that you have, and you'll remain more balanced and be able to, you know, react the best you can and be that better person. This is Dennis Eckersley. The pitcher, okay. This is another visualization I want you to do. Just imagine you're on the mound. You're getting your ritual ready. You're playing with the sock ball or whatever your ritual is, kicking your cleats. You throw the ball to your mitt. You grab the ball. You think of what pitch you're going to throw, okay? Then you take a deep breath in and deep breath out. You go to stillness. You charge that baseball by by extending your arm out, and then you release the baseball by throwing it. When you throw the ball, what pitch do you throw? Do you throw the curveball? Do you throw the slider? Do you throw the fastball? Okay, I want you to all open your eyes. Walter talks about matter and substance and how there's only one substance. Depending on where he puts his fingers, the velocity and rotation of the ball, it manifests different states of motion. A curveball, a slider, or a fastball. But it is still that one substance. It's still the baseball. And that one substance is light. Chapter 1 in the Universal 1 says, the substance of all created things is light. I'm going to read chapter 1. It's only 2 pages. And this, when I read this for the first time, it really answered questions I've always had in my life growing up as a child, questioning things in church and many things that I didn't understand. And I'm going to read, as in Genesis it talks about, in the beginning God said, let there be light, and then there was light. And coincidentally, chapter 1 in the Universal 1 is creation. And this is chapter 1. In the beginning, God. There is but one God. There is but one universe. God is the universe. God is not one and the universe another. The universe is not a separate creation of God's. It is God. There is no created universe. Nothing is which has not always been. All created things are from the beginning. They have no beginning. They do not come into being. They are and always have been and always will be. Creation means to man the coming into existence of something which was not before in existence. Man's concept of creation is the coming into being of a physical, visible universe, heretofore non-existent. The Creator is to a man's mind a sublime being, separate and apart from man, who created the physical universe of matter, causing to come into being that which had not been. Man holds the concepts of two universes, a spiritual and a physical universe. God is presumed to be of the spiritual universe, perfect. Matter of the physical universe, imperfect. God supposedly created the imperfect physical universe, separate and apart from itself. Man conceives a perfect and omnipotent God. A perfect and an omnipotent God could not create imperfection. He could not create a lesser than himself. He could not create a greater than himself. God could not create other than himself. God did not create other than himself, nor greater nor lesser than himself. In the sense generally understood by man, God did not create anything. Nothing has been created. This is a creating universe, not a created one. Man's concept of a sublime being as the creator of a material universe, different in substance from the spiritual universe, is a misconcept. God is all there is. Beyond God, there is nothing. Superior to God, there is nothing. Inferior to God, there is nothing. Opposed to God, there is nothing. Creation is not more, nor it is less than it always have been from the beginning. It cannot be more than God, nor can it be less than God. Creation is an apparent integration in continuity of which already exists in substance. It is a periodic change of state of the one unchanging substance. It is evolution. Decreation is an apparent disintegration, in continuity of apparently integrated things return to the substance. It is dissolution. God is in reality and exists in substance. God is thinking mind. The substance or body of God is light. The universal one substance, which is God, is a tangible substance, a thinking substance, comprehensible and describable, and possessed of principles which are familiar to man through man's observation of the one universal substance in created things. The substance of all created things is light. The one substance of thinking mind is all that exists. The created universe is the registration in the matter of the idea of thinking mind. Mind is expressed in light. Light is the storehouse of the energy of thinking mind. The energy of the universe is the energy of thinking mind. The universe is a universe of energy. Energy is expressed in light. Mind is the universe. Mind substance is spiritual substance. Spirit is light. Spirit is the ultimate and eternal, though finite substance. Spirit is not infinite. Nothing in this universe of motion is infinite. Man's concept of an infinite God possessing infinite knowledge, infinite power, creator of an infinite universe or infinite extension, is not in accord with the laws of motion. This is a boundless, eternal, dimensionless universe of a definite limitation, both as to all cause and to all effects of cause. Dimension is an illusion of relation of effects, which are in themselves but illusions. All cause is comprehensible to, and all effects are measurable by man. A limited, measurable universe cannot be infinite, and a divinity limited as to his range of cause, which is ipso facto limits the possibility range of effect, cannot be infinite. Light is the living substance of mind in action. It is the creating principle of one substance. The one substance is the etheric, spiritual substance of the one universal mind. The entire created universe of all, that is, ever has been or ever will be, is but the one substance in motion, light. God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. Matter is light. God and matter are one. Spirit and matter are the same substance. The substance is light. There are not two substances in the universe. There cannot be two substances in the universe. The substance of the universal mind is the living substance. That which man calls life is an inherent property of an entirety of mind. Life is light. There is but one life in the universe. The whole of the universe is but one living, breathing, pulsing being. There are not two lives or two living beings in the universe. There are not two of any things in the universe. The universe and all that is one. This page, talking about light and how we're all connected, Walter explains it as in the cube, in the corners, how the apexes are the anodes and the cathodes, and how the beginning, the end is the beginning, and how we're all connected from one side of the universe to the other. And we draw these connections. This is why these synchronicities happen to us, because we're on the right wavelength, or whatever you want to call it, the highway of spiritual. We all share these experiences. I've shared many experiences with Richard, as I was saying earlier about the speed of light. I was talking to Richard about a month or two ago about the speed of light and being in the car, and he was saying that Leo, when he used to ride with Leo to the store and tell him that, see, this illusion of motion can be explained in just driving this vehicle, that You're driving, you're going 80 miles an hour, and you're perfectly still. It's all an illusion. And it's great that these seeds that Leo planted 30, 40 years ago, I talked to him in one day, and then it finally flourishes, because he never understood what that meant. And when I shared with him my experience of what light was in driving the vehicle, it unfolded it. You know, it was his season to come for that seed, and that seed grew. And through that, I just want to thank y'all very much, because we are here together as one whole group, and I'm proud and honored to share my experience with you, and I'm looking forward to hearing questions if you have any questions.
How long was your shortest illumination, and can you explain what happened in that period of time, or that period?
Illuminations are timeless. They are like instant. What happened with that illumination that was shown to me as the picture, when I was reading, I wasn't even reading about the states of motion. I was reading about electricity. And what was shown to me was the picture of grabbing the ball and throwing it, rotating it, and when it rotated, it created a different state of motion. And that's what, metals and all these different metals are not different metals. They're not different substances. They're all the same substance. They're just different states of motion. Just like the chair or this piece of wood, it's all the same substance. And that's what we're all made of, is light. We're just it's electrically compressed. And those illuminations, they could, they're minor. I think they're just timeless. They're like, it just takes time. See, time is just potential, from lower potential to higher potential. When an element or something like that, when it's lower potential and higher potential in the wave field, it takes longer to reproduce itself, the higher potential it is. And that's what time really is. There's no such thing as time. Because we think time is just one revolution around the sun. As a year, one revolution around the sun, and one day is just rotating itself. But the further you move away from the sun, rotation and revolution change. And when that changes all the dimensions. The further you go out, the shorter your day is. So literally today is the longest day of your life. So next day will be shorter. That's why when you get older, everybody, it's like, every day go by shorter, because it actually does by law. When it moves out, and the rotation spins up. More rotation, less revolution, and that's what causes more time. Longer year and shorter days. And the closer, like Mercury has shorter year, longer days, because it's closer to the sun. So it literally hugs the sun. So, and those are the laws of universal law. So time is just relative, just like anything else is. It's just how we perceive it. Does that answer your question?
It's like turning on a light switch, Dan.
Or is that too much?
I apologize. I'm sort of a conceptual thinker, and it's been years, even though I've read everything, and I'm a graduate of the university. It's been a long time since I've read the details. You said light then doesn't move.
It only perceives to move.
It's only perceived to move.
Correct.
Okay.
That is how thinking is registered. It's manifested, just like this wood is manifest. Matt built this podium. This is not the idea This is the manifestation of his idea. And the speed of light is the manifestation of man's thinking, be able to perceive.
I love that. I'm glad I asked you that.
I just want to say congratulations for taking a very difficult subject, the science, and breaking it down into something so clear and easy to get. And I think you're really stumbling on the future, in part at least, of education, which is this sort of how to use analogy. When you sit there and you talk about the batter and runs batted in, you talk about the pitcher, it takes these sort of concepts and really gets them down to a level that anyone who's listening really ought to be able to get. So I want to say you're really on to something there, and I hope you continue to learn to express the science in such a simple and clear and concise and familiar way. Not really a question, but kudos, Jeremy.
Thank you.
I just want to add a quick comment. Jeremy and I talked on the phone quite a long time about this, but one of the ironies of baseball, and we thought of writing a book, co-authoring a book together about it. It was, if you think of baseball and you think of Russell science, the diamond field is carbon, right? The crystal of the midpoint of the wave of the balance between male and female is a diamond, the carbon crystal. It's perfect balance, and it's the hardest substance with the highest melting point. So it's the peak of the wave of God's thinking idea in motion. You have 9 octaves of matter. You have 9 players per team, 9 innings. And when you leave home, it's like birth. You run the bases, and then you eventually come back home. So everything stems from home or the creator and returns to it. And I just thought that we should get that book written. But, yeah, Cardinals and the Cubs. Yeah. Anyways, I want to say thanks, Jeremy, for your presentation. That's his first, so hats off to you for the effort.